Hi, it's Erik and welcome to the Correspondence Corner this week. Hope everyone has a great Super Bowl weekend. We started off this week with the President giving his State of the Union address to Congress and to the nation. The guest that I invited was Benita Carter. She heads up Breaking Free in the Twin Cities, which is an organization that does so much to help educate and provide services to victims of sex trafficking. Speaking of the Super Bowl, unfortunately not a lot of folks know this. This is one of those events that attracts, unfortunately, a lot of sex trafficking activity, and I'm hoping it's going to spur more attention to some of the legislation that I and others have drafted bipartisanly to make headway in combating this awful tragedy. We're going to get right to our questions, though. The first comes from Jill in Eden Prairie, and she writes in with the following. She says, "Dear Congressman Paulsen, I urge you to keep fighting for better schools. Public charter schools continue to rank high among the nation's top public high schools on U.S. News and World Report's, the Washington Post, and Newsweek's Best High Schools list. Moreover, the public school charter movement has been a leader in innovation and education reform and is the only federally funded education program that provides parents with a real choice with public education." Well, first of all, Jill, great comments. I agree. Charter schools serve a very important purpose, and unfortunately in many communities, students are trapped in failing schools. This week is actually National School Choice Week. I spent one morning actually visiting a DC charter school. It was DC Prep. I went over there to visit with Congressman Jared Polis. He and I head up the Charter Schools Caucus, and everyone knows that Minnesota is the epicenter where we started a lot of charter school opportunities for many of our students decades ago. We've got the opportunity to replicate those opportunities now as a blueprint to have other success in other schools around the country. We've got great charter schools in Minnesota. I've been out to World Learner in Chaska. I know there's Beacon Prep in Bloomington and many, many others. We're going to get to our next question, though. Actually, I came across a letter from Scott in Maple Grove. And Scott wrote in, "Dear Representative Paulsen, as a hard-working restaurateur, I'm writing to urge you to work in a bipartisan way to address the challenges that I and other restaurant operators face with the Affordable Care Act. The definitions of full-time employee, specifically. It's critically important that the law's definition of full-time employee be rewritten so that it is more in line with current employment practices and reflects my workforce's needs and my employees' desire for flexible hours. If not addressed by Congress soon, disruptions to the workforce could occur." Well, thanks, Scott. What Scott is referring to is another problem the newest problem actually we have with the President's new health care law. We've had problems with the rollout of the website, of course, and people not getting their health care plans renewed or their doctor being able to see their doctor and privacy issues. But the latest issue and biggest challenge for many small business and restaurant owners in particular is the so-called 30-hour rule, because part of the law does mandate and redefine what full-time work is, moving it from 40 hours to 30 hours. As a result, a lot of restaurateurs are now being forced to lay off their employees so they have less than 30 hours, only to 29 hours a work week. That's a big problem. We actually had a hearing in the Ways and Means Committee about this issue. There's bipartisan support to change it. Hopefully we're going to move this fix through very soon. It even affects some of our volunteer fire departments. I've been starting to hear from our fire chiefs. So I want to thank Scott for sending in that letter, and hopefully we'll be able to make some headway on that soon. Also, I want to thank all of you for sending in your questions, your thoughts, your ideas. You can send in your question. Reach me on the website at paulsen.house.gov or, of course, through social media at Facebook or on Twitter. Have a great weekend and a great week.